Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more.
Hi everyone, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about Season 4, Episode 4, title Can't Stop This Thing We've Started. Aired October 18th, 2006. And the synopsis is
Peyton introduces hip-hop sensation Lupe Fiasco at Trick while rumors that Brooke is pregnant run rampant. Still dealing with their car accident, Nathan buys a motorcycle despite Haley's reservations. And Rachel poses for Maxim magazine. Meanwhile, Lucas clashes with Derek and Deb double-crosses Karen. So we start off with Lucas waking up and narrating.
This is weird. He takes down the basketball hoop. Is that basketball hoop always been above his head?
I think I saw it once before, but besides that, not really.
I thought it was, wasn't it above the door?
Yeah, that's what I think I remember it from.
Now it's above his head. Like
Yeah.
when he's in bed.
Mm-hmm.
That was weird to me. I'm like, it's never been there because I don't remember when Peyton was in his bed. Remember that episode of the season that it was there.
Right.
All of a sudden, this episode, it's there and he's taking it down because he's done with basketball. But I was just like, that threw me off. I'm like, what? What's happening?
Mm-hmm. And then Nathan is doing sit-ups. Haley wakes up to see him doing them. So I'm guessing that means that he was up all night. And now he's doing that. And then Brooke picks up one of the pamphlets from Planned Parenthood that Rachel put on her nightstand while she was sleeping. But now Rachel's still asleep herself when Brooke looks over. So since we know the truth of who's pregnant, do you think Brooke was holding on to those so Nathan wouldn't see them if Haley had them?
No, Rachel gave those to Brooke.
Well, because the last episode, Rachel said that she found the pamphlets from in the drawer of the nightstand. Remember?
No, I don't remember. But
yeah, and Brooke said, "Why are you going through my drawers?" And Rachel said, "They're my drawers." So that's what I was thinking. That why she had them.
I just want to know why Brooke is so invested with this pregnancy that she doesn't have. Like I don't understand this. I don't know a person on the planet that would be this invested with somebody else's pregnancy. I just don't get it at all. Like, should we just keep hinting it's her? And it's not. Like, and I just don't get it. Like, all the stuff she's doing, like, why be miserable? Why not just out the person, for crying out loud? Why go through all this?
Or tell them to come out with their pregnancy, a lot sooner than they did here.
I mean, like, why does she have the pamphlets? Like, remember when she was getting a little carried away and Haley's like, what are you doing? Like, you're kind of going like, way ahead. And it's like, I don't get it. Like, it's not even your pregnancy. I don't understand this storyline at all. Why Brooke is so invested. I mean, I guess she has them for Haley. Like, Haley has other options, but again, it's not her pregnancy. I don't get it.
Right.
And it's going on since the finale. And this is episode 4 already.
Right.
It's kind of like needs to be done. And I just don't get it. Like, if just one person would have found out, I feel like for me, I would be like, well, I'm telling, because I'm not the one that's going to look like that. So I don't get why. And Brooke has already had a pregnancy scare. I don't know why she would want to go through this again, of being judged and labeled. I don't get it. Like, I know nobody really knew about the pregnancy scare except for Karen and Lucas. But why would you want them to know a second time? I don't get it. Like, again, if somebody's accusing me or whatever and they think that they know this story, well, they don't, and I'm going to tell it because I'm not the one that's going to look like it. The person that is needs to do it. So I don't get
Mhm.
why Brooke is holding on to this.
Yeah, I don't know. I can only really see maybe like a sister doing it for another sister or something, but yeah.
Yeah, to like cover up for their parents,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, but like not a friend. It's really
Mm-hmm.
weird.
And then we see Shelly grabbing a clean teen shirt to wear, as we will see her later, but we know who she is. And then Dan looks at himself in the mirror, then turns on the water without looking. So when he's going to
All of a
splash the
sudden it's
water,
blood.
yeah.
It's all
And
red.
then, yeah, almost like Moses came in his bathroom. But then Derek ends up calling Peyton, and then, first thing in the morning. And then Lucas takes the hoop off his bedroom wall. Yep. And then Deb walks
So
into the living room.
so Derek calls her.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the other phone number of Derek?
Why
Why
is
is
that?
that?
He probably told her he changed it like last second. So
Yeah, but I kind of wanted to know that. Like, I kind of wanted to
Mhm.
see that. So we
Yeah.
know, because what we know is this other Derek has the real number.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, that's the real one. So
Mm-hmm.
this is weird, but okay.
Right.
Also, he's going to take her to school. He's very invested in her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about it. If you had just met somebody and they say they're your sibling,
Mm-hmm.
they're going through a lot. Like, they're seeing you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're taking you to school and they just met you
Mm-hmm.
like 2 days ago and they're seeing you every day. It's
Mm-hmm.
very weird, don't you think?
Yeah.
Most people going slow. Peyton is like, not a care
Mm-hmm.
in the world.
Yeah.
There's no creepers around here.
Mm-hmm. And then Deb walks into her living room to see
An
everybody.
intervention.
Yep.
Yep,
Wait.
Nathan, Haley, Karen, and Dan.
And the therapist. Yep.
Yeah, but it was just so funny because when she said that the therapist was like, everyone important in your life, must be here and stuff. And she's like, so you got 4 people, including my sociopath ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
It was hilarious.
Yeah. She had a point there.
Yeah. It was just so funny because like Dan's just like like acting like he cares.
Right.
It was hilarious.
Mm-hmm. And then she starts looking around for her pills right in front of them.
Yeah,
And then
but then she blamed Nathan, and then she said like it's your fault, and like the day you left me and decided to marry her, isn't Haley,
Mhm.
and like Karen's like it's not their fault, and then she's just going on. You haven't forgiven me for sleeping with Keith, and then Dan chimes in and says, "No, actually, that was me."
Mhm.
He said the
But
guy you tried to light on fire. I was like,
yeah.
oh my god.
And then Nathan showed Deb the bag of pills that they got from around the house, and that was a lot of them.
Yeah, and all she wants is the pills.
Mhm. Yeah, so the therapist tries talking with her. Of course, she's not taking it. She just, says the insult and then walks out.
Mhm.
Oh, but she said that she knows she's an addict, and if she spent a week with these people, she would be too. So
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe
yeah,
Dan. Maybe Dan.
yeah.
But not the other 3.
Mhm. And then after she left, Dan's like, "I think we're making progress."
I
Like, oh
know.
yeah.
I was like, what?
Mhm.
Also, I'm confused. I thought Deb and Nathan had a restraining order against Dan. So why is Dan there in the house that Deb owns?
I don't know. Can't do. I don't know because I never needed to get one or anything. Can you have an expiration date on them if you want? I don't know how that
Yeah,
works.
there's expiration dates, but I can't imagine
It'd be
it
that
was
soon.
only like a month.
Mm-hmm.
They only just got the restraining order the end of last season, which is still basketball season.
Mm-hmm.
It's only been probably a month since they got the restraining order. So it would not be over with in a month, a restraining order.
Right.
And so I don't get how Dan could be allowed in there
Mm-hmm.
and why Nathan would want Dan in his mom's intervention. Like, that's really going to help her.
Yeah, he knows that it would just make things worse. They don't get along at all, so.
Right. And he knows, remember, Deb told Nathan what she did to him.
Mm-hmm.
She said she started the fire because she wanted to kill Dan. So
Yeah.
Nathan knows this. Like, Haley doesn't know this, but like, Nathan knows this. So why would
Mm-hmm.
Nathan allow Dan to be there when he was the reason why she's going off in the first place, because she tried to kill him?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like they're divorced. We never saw them sign the papers, even though now they technically call each other ex-husband and ex-wife. So I guess it's the same here.
It's just really weird. I'm like, Nathan, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's one thing if like he didn't know it, but he knows it. So I don't understand this. Plus, did you see Haley's reaction when like they were bringing up like, you know, like Keith sleeping with Deb and Deb setting Dan on fire, and Haley just like looking around like, what? And it was just hilarious because
Mm-hmm.
everyone else knows the truth of all this stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
she's the only one that doesn't know. So it was just kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. And then at Rachel's, Brooke tells Rachel she's not pregnant.
And she goes, whatever you say.
Mm-hmm. And
And
then
then, okay,
she,
but then she said you'd be a terrible mother.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think Rachel would be a terrible mother, not Brooke.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, because Rachel says they all turn to their parents. So she, Brooke would ditch Brooke Jr.
I mean, Brooke Jr.
Yeah. But Rachel, I guess, is too young to know that you can break those cycles. So, and then Brooke is now being the photographer for Rachel's Maxim audition shoot. So I feel like for this kind of magazine, you'd have to be 18. Is Rachel 18 then, or?
I mean, she never had a birthday.
And she could have lied about her age again here. So
I think that's what it was. I think she lied about her age because we all know Brooke just turned 18.
mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So I don't think Rachel's 18 yet, but I think she lied. And I don't get why she'd want to do this.
For the
This
attention,
cover.
probably. The attention.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but okay.
I mean, it seems in character for her. Because apparently they're looking for like the Tree Hills hometown hottie.
But apparently she has no wounds from the accident.
Yeah, I guess not, unless they healed, but I don't
It's
know.
only been a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden she looks perfect enough to be on a cover, like basically half naked. It's I don't buy it, but okay.
Yeah.
Like if the accident didn't happen or if it was like maybe a year from now, okay, but I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, and of course she has to keep insulting Brooke about the baby thing, so she said that she was her biggest competition, but now she's packing baby weight, so she won't be anymore. And then Lucas is at Peyton's and tells her at the party he told Brooke that he wasn't going to fight for her anymore. And Peyton looks shocked but like happy at the same time to hear this. And she asks him, what did Brooke say? And he says pretty much nothing. And for the first time ever, he actually feels like it's over. So that took him long enough. And then he asks how are things with her and the instant brother. And before she can answer,
then she said that, you'll have to ask him yourself because he's giving us a ride. And it's like, that's just so creepy.
Yeah, because Lucas didn't
even know.
Yeah, and say that was okay with him. Yeah.
I know. I'd be like, I'm going in a car with a stranger. I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. But of course, he's not going to want to leave Peyton alone with him, so he goes. And then once they get to school, Derek tells Payne that they'll hand out flyers for the show tonight.
And he's taking pictures of her?
Yeah. Yeah, but he was pushing to pass out the flyers with her because she said that Lucas would help her. But he said, no, I got time. So I noticed that he was like pushing that,
Yeah, he has all the time. I don't think this person works.
Yeah.
So when Lucas brings up, like, it's a little weird that he's taking pictures, she's like, oh, it's for his photography class. It's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
That you're taking pictures of your sister?
Yeah, and Lucas points it out too. Like, what's the assignment? Pictures of Payne's ass, and she tells him to shut up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well,
So I'm glad.
I liked that Lucas saw that the camera was aimed that way.
Yeah, and he heard the shutter. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he knows that Peyton knows he's taking pictures, but I was
Mm-hmm.
glad that Lucas saw where the angle was to her
Mm-hmm.
ass.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not
So
like Lucas does anything about it right here. So,
right.
kind of like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm. But at least somebody's looking out for her. And then that's when Haley comes walking up, and Lucas asks how was the Mason family reunion, and she says it was kind of
Manson.
like, oh yeah, that Manson, and she said that it was kind of like the end of the Lion King when the hyenas ganged up on Scar.
I liked when Haley came up to them and she hugged Peyton.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember last episode, Brooke's all like, "Welcome to Team Brooke," and it's like, but
Right.
here it's like she's being friends with both of them. So I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then just then Nathan pulls
Nathan
up
pulls
on.
up on a motorcycle.
Yep.
What? And then
Yep.
he said that he traded the car for the bike and he made $200.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Right.
First of all, does he have a license?
Mm-hmm.
I doubt it.
Right.
I don't think he has a
And then
motorcycle license at all. And he don't know how to drive the thing because he
Mm-hmm.
started to like move. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
real safe.
Yeah. Didn't have the brakes on right. Yep. And the thing is too, like, if that's their only vehicle of transportation,
How's
like,
Haley getting around?
yeah, and well, I mean, she can ride in the back, but like, how are they gonna drive through like rain? You know, because I don't think you can really drive motorcycles through rain for many reasons, because it's dangerous, and then you don't really have much of like the helmet's the only thing that's keeping you safe from the rain, but that's not much. It's only your head, really. So
Well, how are they getting groceries?
yeah, so
Also too, how did Haley get there that day? She walked?
I guess because she just said that Nathan stepped her out for a ride, so I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm like, so your husband left you and made you
Mm-hmm.
walk to school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, but he's all happy about this decision, thinking he did the right thing. Then inside the school, in the girls' locker room, Haley tells Brooke Nathan bought a motorcycle, and then Brooke tells her that Rachel thinks that she should have an abortion. So Haley admits that that's worse than her problem.
But yeah, she does
So
nothing about
yeah,
it.
I was gonna say that's when if I was Haley, I would start being like, okay, I gotta tell Nathan, and then everybody else can know after that. So
If I was
like this is the
Brooke,
point.
I'd be like, your turn
Mm-hmm.
to say it.
Yeah. And then, of course, this is when Shelly hears them because she's like on the other side of the locker. Not the other side, but like the end of the row of lockers. And I guess they didn't see her because I would if someone was around the corner like that. And then Shelly has to follow Haley and Brooke into the hallway now to give her opinion about Brooke and her supposed pregnancy. And he tells her like she would like to encourage her to have her baby. There's resources and all that. She could give the baby out for adoption. All that. And Brooke tells her, like she doesn't know anything because what she thought she heard was wrong. But then she like cuts her off and tells her not to worry. When she's ready to talk, they'll be there. They're not going to let her go through this alone. And Shelly walks away. And Brooke's like, what does she mean by we? Because apparently nobody heard about this club until this episode.
Mhm.
And then Dan visits Deb's therapist alone because he wants to have sessions with her, surprisingly, because before he was like so against therapy, but now he's all for it, I guess. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think he likes the therapist because she was going after Deb.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah, so
It is weird that he would use the same therapist because
mhm,
remember Deb said like once you're around these people, you'll know why I'm taking pills. And then here when Dan says he killed his brother, it's like, well, the therapist will be like, well, now I understand, Deb.
mhm,
Oh, I don't know how that's helping. Like, shouldn't he go to somebody else
right.
that isn't trying to help Deb? I just find that
Mhm,
weird. Like, then Deb is making all the sense in the world then.
mhm,
In my mind, like trying to
right.
be a therapist, I'd be like, so when you said she did this stuff, I kind of agree now.
Mhm. And then the theme song plays after he says he killed his brother. And I noticed that Lee Norris, Antoine, and Danielle Harris are all in the theme song now. So, and then at lunch, Shelly drops a clean teen shirt for Brooke at her table. And Brooke asks her what's that, and Shelly says she's inviting her to join the club to be a clean
I find it
teen.
funny that it's just Brooke and Rachel sitting there. And
Right.
then they're like, oh, what exactly does clean teens do? And she's like, oh, everything you guys do except sex.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rachel's just like, she's like basically like she's out.
Right. And then Rachel asks if she's completely celibate, and Shelly says pretty much.
We broke ourselves.
Yeah, my question is, where does she even get that from?
I know, because the only people that knew were the people at the cabin, and that was it.
Right. Yeah.
But with Rachel, it probably went around school.
Yeah, maybe. I just thought it was really weird.
I can't see anybody else saying it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Bevan, because Bevan, I think, doesn't know. She's not too bright. So I think maybe Bevan could have also. It's either Bevan or Rachel, because Rachel would because she hates Brooke, but Bevan would because she's smart.
Doesn't think about who she's talking to.
Yeah, because
like
Bevan may have
about Lucas in front of him.
Bevan may have said to the wrong person.
Yeah, but it would feel really weird to be Brooke and hear that from somebody else that's supposedly not supposed to know about that. So,
well, yeah, that's not your friend.
Yeah,
like it's funny, like when your friends are saying, like making a joke out of it, but then like for complete strangers, it'd be like, what?
Yeah, and then now hearing this, of course, Rachel says she'll join. And then, Brooke tells Shelly that who she is and how she chooses to live her life is none of her business. And Shelly starts a debate, asking her, if that means her decisions are her own. Brooke says that's right. And Shelly asks what about her baby's decision to be born. And Brooke says, well, what about her decision she's going to, make about kicking her preachy ass? And Shelly says if she doesn't want to raise her baby, someone else will.
Oh, but then I thought it was funny when this is where Rachel's like, when you Brooke yourself, is it a alone or a group thing? And then she goes, because if it's a group thing, I'm totally in.
Yeah, I swear that was the oddest thing to say right now in this conversation.
I know. I was like, we're talking about abortion and everything and a baby, and you're talking and you're still thinking of this.
Yeah.
Okay, Rachel.
Yeah, she's not trying to, help Brooke in the situation against Shelly. She's just all about the club now.
Yep.
And so Brooke tells Rachel, she understands that in her Shelly, that everything in her world is black and white, but in real life it's a little more complicated. And then Shelly had to say that, not complicated as her not wanting to get too fat to fit into a prom dress. Yeah, so that's not the reason why girls would want to get an abortion, is because they don't want to, not fit in their prom dress, That's not their reason at all. But Brooke tells her, why didn't she go back to her group, her clean teens, and leave her alone? And then Shelly, getting like the last word in, of course, had to say out loud, go look with your pregnancy as she's walking away. So you think at this point, everybody would be like easily like whispering to each other, and then they like be the telephone game and go around the school, but everybody around them just kind of froze there. I mean, it's probably shock, but
I mean, they looked, but well, I mean, here's the thing too, is like, unlike Dawson's Creek, the people in One Tree Hill, they're all popular. So of course, when you hear the most popular girl in school is pregnant, that's gonna go around. Unlike, remember when Joey had the rumor? It's like, when it comes to like that, it's like, who's going to listen to that versus Brooke? I mean, everyone is going to be talking about Brooke. So it's like that thing. Remember, I was like, who really cares about Dawson and his friends? I mean, I never really understood it. But on One Tree Hill, I understand it because this is the popular group. And so I'm like, of course, that's really going to go around now. Like, thanks, Shelly.
Yep. And then, of course, Mouth hears this from a table nearby.
Yep. Well, and now it's like proving the point, because he kind of overheard them at the party, and now it's kind of like a confirmation.
Yeah. Mhm.
So then we go to Dan and the therapist, and she was like, you said like you killed your brother. Explain that. It's like, how do you explain that?
Yeah, because in real life, usually a therapist would notify the right people to take care of this, because that would be,
Are they
basically
supposed
committing
but
a
are they
crime.
supposed to? Because he said anything I say is confidential, right? And she said yes. She never said, well, it's like conditional, like the things you say. She
Yeah,
never
well,
said that. So that's why he said I killed my
mhm,
brother, because she said, yeah, everything you say is confidential.
mhm,
Well,
yeah,
but if it's not, then she should have said, you know, some
mhm.
things aren't.
Yeah, well, I just know from experience in real life that if you mention anything about harming someone else or harming yourself or have harmed someone else, then that would be, an exception, and they would have to notify the police or anyone that would need to get involved now in what he just said. So,
Oh, really?
hmm
That's good to know for people out there.
yeah. So, Dan kind of covers it up though, saying that he let Keith go into the school that day, because
Yeah, trying to
stopped
make it
him.
look like he feels bad for that's the reason.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
that's the reason that's how he killed him.
Hmm.
Oh, Danny.
Yeah.
I
So the
think Dan
therapist.
realized like her reaction. I think
Hmm.
he realized, oh crap, I need to say something different.
Hmm.
Because it wasn't like a I'm here to help you. It was more like a what?
Yeah.
Like get me out of this room.
Hmm.
So I think that's why he had to turn it because of a reaction.
Right. Yeah. So the therapist, asks him, tell him about him and Keith, and he says they never got along, not even as kids. But at least back then they had each other's back. So the therapist asks when did that change.
Oh
But then
my
we go,
God. And a
hmm,
story of how it changed. I always knew it.
oh, right.
Like the real truth. I'm like, see, I think that this is the real truth.
Hmm. But then we go back to school where Nathan is taking a test when Deb walks in.
This is one of the hardest scenes to watch.
Yeah, because again, how does she get in with security supposed to be there? You know?
Well, they must not have security because we've seen Derek wander around.
Yeah.
So this is just so hard because like not only like is he trying to take a test, but like she just walks in and like and here's the thing about like kids. Normally they're like, that's not my parent. Like
Mhm.
they try to have like act like that's not their parent. But
Yeah.
Nathan's just like, Mom, what are you doing? And I'm like, huh? Like most people would be like, I don't know who that person is. Even if the whole school knows, it'd be like, I don't know who
Mhm.
she is. She's like some crazy person.
Yeah.
So that was off to me. But then, she's like, I want my pills. And even the teacher was stepped in and was just like,
Yeah, but barely. Yeah.
just like, yeah, she barely did anything. All she said was Mrs. Scott. And it's like,
Mhm.
that's all she did. She didn't call the principal. She didn't do
Mhm.
anything. She didn't like escort her out herself. I was like, what
Yeah.
kind of teacher is this? Like, all the
Mhm.
other kids are trying to take a test. This is clearly a family matter between the Scotts. And yet the teacher is doing nothing. Like, okay,
Right.
after that, all the kids are that's going to be on their mind. And Nathan, really, because of what happened, he's going to fail the test because now his
Mhm.
mind is on that. And so are the other kids. Like, I don't think I could sit there and finish a test after I just saw that.
Mhm.
Could you?
No.
Could you seriously get your mindset in what 20 more minutes left of class trying to take a test?
Mhm.
I'd be like, I'm sorry, what just happened? Like, I can't believe this. Like, I can't, like, I feel like the teacher would have to take the test away. Y'all can
Mhm.
take the test tomorrow.
Yeah. Because it was really humiliating for Nathan when he told his mom like it's the pills or him, and she
I
takes them and
know.
leaves.
Well, and he goes, I'm warning you. And she goes,
Mhm.
like, I want the pills. And it's like,
Mhm.
and that's the thing, because like she did it in front of everyone.
Yeah.
She showed everyone, like, I only want my pills, not you.
Mhm.
And here's the other thing again, like he's the popular one. That's gonna be talked about.
Mhm.
Like if it happened to Jimmy, nobody would care. But they
Right.
probably would have made fun of it. But
Mhm.
for Nathan, it's like, oh my God, Nathan Scott's mom came in
Yeah.
and chose the pills. Like, of course that's gonna go around. So now we've got like Brooke's pregnancy is gonna go around. And this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bad day to be at Tree Hill.
Mhm. And the teacher just simply tells them to go back to work on their
The
tests
test.
after she leaves. Yeah.
I know. I was like, what?
Mhm. So then Rachel walks into wherever to get her photo shoot done, and the picture that Brooke took earlier is on the monitor. The guy says it's a great test shot and asks if she's ready, and she says definitely. And then we see Nathan driving his motorcycle, Rachel doing the shoot, and while she's doing great, Nathan is not, because on his bike, he almost hits a truck, making a turn to barely miss it and falls down on the road.
So this is weird because normally when you see two scenes going on,
Mm-hmm.
usually it's like because maybe somebody's thinking of someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a reason why that there's two scenes going like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what? Because they're two different scenes.
Yeah.
So it's weird because I'm like, are we supposed to believe like Nathan's thinking of her or what? Because I don't get why they're both it just keeps going back and forth, back and forth. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I just saw it as like Rachel's getting like she's having a high moment, like, something good's happening for her, while, something bad's happening for Nathan, because now the bike's ruined too, and he could have really hurt himself or killed himself. So, yeah. And then, so he gets home to clean himself. Apparently, he only
No.
messed up his arm, and that
Yeah,
was it.
that's it. But yeah, he
Yeah.
kind of landed on his head. It's
Yeah.
like, okay. So yeah, then of course Haley's like,
Freaking
like
out.
what happened
Mm-hmm.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, he says, like, don't worry, the bike's pretty messed up though. It's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. If the bike's messed up, he should be messed up too.
Yeah, it's like, okay there, Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just I just don't understand this. Because then he was like, nothing's gonna happen to me. Here's where she says it. So she said
Mm-hmm.
this to Lucas in season 3 about his health
Yep.
condition.
Mm-hmm.
And here she says it to Nathan. She said, "You're not invincible."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, see,
Yeah, she
she
needs him
did
on the
say it.
planet.
I
Yeah.
knew she said it.
Yep, and she needs him on the planet. Yep.
What?
Well, because she told Lucas that she needs him on the planet, and she tells Nathan the same thing too.
Oh yeah.
And then
Oh, and then she said, she said she's gonna talk to Deb. I was like, oh, you
mm-hmm.
go, because she is mad.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and then she tells Nathan, like, maybe Keith saved him, maybe he saved himself, but either way, he's supposed to be here right now. So, yeah, Haley goes over to Deb's, banging and ringing the doorbell
Banging.
repeatedly
It was
until she opens it.
good.
Yeah.
I will say, I liked Peyton's hair in this episode. And Haley looked so pretty with her hair and the shirt. I just love those two in this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, just something they did with her hair. It's like, I just loved it.
Right. Yeah,
But
so
then
Haley tells...
Yeah, then she tells Deb to stay away from Nathan and stuff. And she said, for all I care, you can go to hell, but I won't let you take Nathan with you. I was like, ooh. But then
Mm-hmm.
Deb, of course, has to turn it and says, like, talk to me in a few years when your dreams are dead and your child betrays you.
Yeah,
What?
that was, I mean, she is talking future tense, but she doesn't know that she's talking kind of near future tense in this
But
moment.
why would she say when your child betrays you? When did Nathan betray her?
She's probably talking about when Nathan got himself emancipated and then married Haley. Yeah.
He did it because his parents were not acting like parents.
Yeah, toxic. Mm-hmm.
That's why he did it.
Yeah.
So what is she needs to blame herself for this.
Yeah.
At least partially, not Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
This had to do with Dan and Deb, and Nathan was like, I don't want to be a part of this.
Yep.
And clearly he did it for the, to be his best self. Like that was the best
Mhm.
thing for him. But like Deb is so obnoxious at this point.
Mhm. Yeah, so she says, and then she'll see what kind of mother she is, and then Haley says she'll never be like her. And
And then
Deb
she said
then
she'll save.
says,
Didn't she say like she'll save some for her, like the pills?
yeah.
I was like, what?
Mhm.
And then it was funny because Haley's like whatever, like junkies don't save pills. It was hilarious.
Mhm. Yeah, she had a point there.
Yep.
And then Shelley finds Brooke in the halls, of course, still bothering her. But she says she wants to apologize for coming out a little strong earlier. I don't think that was a little, because she blurted out that she was pregnant to everyone on the quad, but okay. And then she adds that she realized clean teens isn't for everyone. I feel like that's a lie when she said that. She's just telling her what Brooke, what she thinks Brooke wants to hear. And then Brooke asks her, so she's never going to have sex. And Shelley says, no, not until her wedding night. And why would a guy buy the cow when he can get the milk for free? And Brooke actually, she realizes that she just likened herself to a farm animal, one that is for sale, no less. And Shelley says that it's not about that. It's about keeping their bodies pure. She asks Brooke if she's ever had chlamydia or gonorrhea. It's not fun. So this was the first moment here when Brooke should have realized what Brooke didn't realize until like a second later, that Shelley was hinting that she wasn't a virgin, because she was giving herself away there when she said it's
Yeah.
not fun.
Also, Nathan and Haley went home early
Yeah, they're not at school. I don't know why.
because all this happened. Rachel's not at school because Brooke is still wearing the same shirt she did when her and Rachel and Shelley were talking earlier in the day. So I'm like, either they didn't realize this is the next day or this is still the same day and everybody went home. But Brooke.
I don't
But
know.
why would Haley go home? She's a smart one. Remember, at the beginning of the school year, she said like basically she had to worry about her classes and she had to like make classes up from last year in order to graduate. So if that's the case, she should be at school all day long. Like, why is she home? And why, like, I get why Nathan would, like, he just had that trauma happen in school. So I get why he would leave. But why would Haley? Like, she should be in school.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe it was like lunch and Nathan took off on the motorcycle and Haley couldn't find him. So she went to go look for him and then they just didn't come back on time, maybe.
It was weird. I'm like,
And
everyone, they just left.
and then Haley could say like Nathan got hurt, we got to stay home for the rest of the day, whatever. And then Rachel probably just called in sick so she can do the shoot. So
Well, she was at school.
oh yeah. Maybe she said she had a doctor appointment and it was like toward the end of the school day, so it'd be no point to come back when it's about to be over, Maybe something like that, some kind of lie.
Because it was just weird. Because I'm like, wait a minute, Brooke's wearing the same outfit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And everyone else has had all their other scenes, so it's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. And then Brooke says, well, just burn me at the stake because she likes boys and sex. And Shelley says, so did she. And then that's when Brooke catches on that Shelley isn't a virgin now. So, she's laughing, saying to Shelley that she's a virgin and she's not even, she's in the virgin club and she's not even a virgin. And Shelley says she's a born again
Brooke
virgin.
was funny. She goes, oh, what? It was funny. And then that's.
Yeah, and Shelley was explaining what it is. Yeah.
And then she goes, I hate to break it to you, but you're either a virgin or you're not.
Yeah. And even says, that pledge does not, a broken hymen mend. And she tells, her that she's sorry. And Shelley says to Brooke that she can't tell her what she believes in. She's a virgin. And Brooke says to Shelley, she's a hypocrite. She walks around preaching celibacy. Can't say that anymore, to everybody. And she's already sold her cow milk or whatever.
Yeah. And she said, well, at least I'm not a baby killer.
Yeah.
Brooke never said she would get an abortion.
Yeah.
If she was.
She didn't say she was. Yeah. She didn't say she was pregnant, yeah.
But if she was, she never said she would get an abortion. Like these people are just now a million steps ahead.
Yeah. Running rampant with that one rumor. Yeah. And then at Peyton's, she says she can't believe she got Lupe fiasco to play at Trick tonight to Derek, and Derek sees Ellie's jacket and tells Payne it's cool. And Payne says that, Ellie gave it to her, and he says he wishes he could have met her.
I'm thinking that the real Derek probably did meet Ellie.
Yeah, because how did Ellie know about him and have his number? So,
well, I'm sure when she was sleeping with the father, I'm sure he probably said he had a kid, but I'm sure she met him. That's probably why Derek hung up. Because he's like, Ellie's kid? I don't think so. But like this Derek is like, I never met her. It's like, because he knows that if he says he did meet her, or if she knew that the real Derek met her, he'd have to give, like all this history of her, and he has none.
And then Payne mentions that it was tough to trust her at first, having somebody out there you're related to. And he says, like, your long-lost brother. And then he asks her if it hurt when she was shot, and she says, yeah.
This is creepy, because he was like, oh, I want to see it and stuff. And she was like, no. And so then she pulls up. Yeah, she pulls up her pant leg, and he takes pictures of it. First of all, we never saw it. Secondly, I was just like, what? Like, who does that?
Right. Yeah, because if he was a real brother, which we know he isn't, but if he was, then he would have been like I'm sorry that happened to you,
like, sympathetic.
And not like treat it as some kind of, I can't even say art piece, because that's not really art unless you make
but like some cool, weird fetish he's got going on.
Yeah, like it'd be different if he had it if he was a writer too, and he's like, well, I want to write an article about shootings, like, can I use this picture as part of it or something like that? I don't know, just something that
like the scar
what
still there.
Doing. Yeah,
but like here's the thing too, is like this is like the 20th red flag for Derek.
Yeah,
I would consider this a red flag, because this is creepy.
Right. Yeah, I was trying to keep track of his red flags, but I think I missed a couple already.
But don't you think that this is a red flag?
Yeah, I think we're at 9 maybe, but yeah. And then she takes a selfie with him, calling it a family photo.
Ew.
Yeah, later she'll find out that it definitely wasn't. And then we see Whitey at Karen's for coffee when Lucas walks in, because they're talking about him, rejoining the Ravens. Because she talked to his doctor, Karen, this morning and said, there's risks, but it's manageable. He has to stand his medication, of course, and they will limit him to 15 minutes a night. And, Whitey says that they'll be bringing him off the bench, but he knows that benches win championships.
And then he says, like, it'll be different. Like, they know it'll be different than last time, but he'll get to play. And he goes, no. And then, of course, they're both like, what? And he's like, thank you for everything. But he doesn't want to just play halfway. He wants either basketball or none. So,
yeah, I get that.
Yeah, which is understandable. Like, I get where Karen's coming from. Like, she's trying to do everything because she wants him to still live this dream of his. But I get where Lucas is coming from, of like, if I can't have it, then I just don't want it. It's like, then you'll want that 2 more seconds on the, like, when Whitey's like, get off the court, he'll be like, no, like, and plus, then he couldn't go to practice. Then he couldn't play on the river court then, right?
Right.
It's only for 15 minutes. So I get it too. Because like, no, you just, because especially when you're on that court, like they all seem to like have like this high of it. You don't want to ruin that. Right. You want to just play all night.
Yeah, and then at Payne, she walks out of her bathroom asking Derek what he thinks about her overall look. And he says he guesses as a brother, he's supposed to say, she's wearing too much makeup, her skirt's too short, and the boys are, only after one thing, but she looks beautiful.
That's creepy. Because again, you should, first of all, like, you should say all those things. Oh, it's just creepy that he didn't. Again, 21 red flags.
And then Payne says, he says, thank you for letting him in and trusting him. It's been great. And then Payne says, it's about to get better because there's something she hasn't told anyone. She says Lucas and Brooke are done, so she's going to tell Lucas how he feels, or how she feels tonight. And then she puts her jacket on, smiling at Derek, and he smiles back, but you can tell he's disappointed hearing this news. And then after she closes the bathroom door, he like taps into Psycho Derek because, you know, he's becoming angry that Peyton is interested in another guy and
I
not
don't
him.
understand this. Like, he came out to be her brother.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to have a crush on her brother.
Yeah, so I don't know where he was going with this. I mean, he probably just didn't plan this far ahead, but, you know, he was thinking, now I have an identity to use to get closer, and that's all that really mattered to him. So
Yeah, because it made no sense. I'm like, dude, she thinks you're the brother. She's not going to come. She's not going to want to date you because
right.
you're the brother, you idiot.
Mm, yeah.
I'm like, that's gross.
Mm-hmm. And that trick, Haley tells Nathan to let her know when they're gonna, you know, go home on 4 wheels. And he says that he's gonna get the car back because the motorcycle's too messed up.
So they walked there?
I guess.
These people
like,
just keep walking everywhere around town?
Yeah, and I just wonder, like, how do they get groceries and other stuff? Because, you know, delivery wasn't really a thing back then like it is now. So
Right. That's what it's just weird. Like, how are they living? It's very weird.
mm-hmm.
Also, again, like Nathan doesn't have a job. How are they affording life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unless he lived in like a small town like I can't think of the name, Gilmore Girls. That's town that was like all, you know, you could walk everywhere easily and find whatever you need because it was so small of a town. Like
Mm-hmm.
nobody, like hardly anybody drove. But
Stars Hollow.
yeah, that's it. I knew it started with the S. I just couldn't think of the S. Yeah. So Brooke tells Haley to think of it this way. You know, most guys buy a motorcycle because they're compensating for, you know, she knows what. And Nathan wears a size 14, and Haley tells her things. She feels much better now. I thought originally Brooke was going to say like most guys buy a motorcycle when they might be having like a midlife crisis, so at least Nathan's doing this now and not later kind of thing, but that
Or an
wasn't a good
affair
line.
or something.
Yeah. And then Rachel walks over to Nathan at the bar. Yeah, they're at Trick, asking if he wants, asking if he cares to make the night interesting. And he says after the day she had, and she says, yeah, sure. And he takes a sip from her flask. And then he says he's got something for her too. Because apparently it was a picture of herself in the photo shoot in her room in his locker. So this was like her, you know, first, I guess, attempt at trying to get him, you know, steal him from Haley.
I think she attempted before.
I mean, like making it more obvious. Yeah.
Oh, well, this ain't, yeah, I was gonna say this definitely isn't the first attempt. She's had like 10.
Yeah. Because what if Haley was at Nathan's locker with him when he opened it, you know, and saw that picture? Then it would have been over right there and then. And then, yeah, so he asks how the photo shoot went. Rachel tells him that she could give him a preview of the whole spread if he wanted. He just laughs and says thanks for the drink. So, since they're getting drinks here, does that mean like is Karen there? Yeah, Karen's there. So how are they getting drinks if they're not age? You know, if they're not old enough.
Plus, they go there all the time. It's not like they're newbies that could get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
The
With fake
workers,
IDs,
yeah, the workers see them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they're just, you know, coming for one night and that's it.
Right. So I was just wondering about that. Like they're just saying, "Oh, like let's drink," you know. No, like
Mhm.
they're 21. But then
Maybe they brought some of their own and just like what Brooke did with the opening.
Yeah, probably. And Rachel in her flask. And then to keep his attention, Rachel asks him, you know, what did he see in the water? Because he saw something, right? And he asked her, why would she say that? And she ends up saying, never mind.
When he said thanks for the drink, I think he meant her flask.
Oh, yeah, that could have been it.
So none of them are actually drinking.
Yeah. Right,
she brought it, so that's where it's coming from.
Yeah. And at the river court, Dan is watching Lucas from his car. And then he remembers his session with the therapist who asked him when did his relationship with Keith change. So he answers that he was away at school when he got the call that Karen was in labor.
This is when we find out that it was when he went to the hospital and saw Keith holding baby Lucas.
Yep.
That's what changed it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I mean, here's the thing, is like, so he did want this.
Mm-hmm.
He did want Lucas.
Yep.
Like all the time we heard he didn't, and then he did. So he did. So in season 2, when he said, like, I tried to fight, or I wanted to, it was like, and of course it was like, whatever, Dan, like the way you're treating him, whatever. So it goes to, he always did. That's what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And here's where you find out too, like, I don't remember if we ever found out before if he ever was at the hospital. I thought we did, but maybe not.
Yeah, I think we did.
I thought with the custody thing, I thought he brought up he was there.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's like here again, it's like it goes back to he did want him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? So again, okay, so he only wanted Lucas then, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want Karen.
Right.
Because he was with Deb.
Mm-hmm.
Because Nathan would have only been a couple months away from being born.
Yeah.
So he was only going there to see Lucas, not Karen? Or was it Deb and him were in a separation or something and he thought maybe he could get a chance with Karen?
Mm-hmm.
Because this episode he's going back to how he fell in love with her.
Right.
So it's just kind of weird. But yep, we find out he did want him.
Yeah, because he said that Keith was at Karen's bedside, so I think he was including her.
What?
I said Dan told the therapist that Keith was at Karen's bedside holding his son, so he did mention Karen. So I'm thinking he meant both of them, like he kind of stole both of them from him.
Well, yeah, but he was with Deb.
Yeah,
That's why I said it would make sense if like him and Deb broke up for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he went back to he wanted to go be with Karen and Lucas, but
Mm-hmm.
then there was Keith and it was like, I guess I gotta go be with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what happened, but it just wasn't said.
Right.
But I think what really made him mad was the whole Keith holding Lucas. I think that's what made him mad.
Yeah.
Because he said holding my son.
Yeah.
You know how many times Dan would not acknowledge him as his son? That's why I'm like, huh?
Right.
And it was always Karen's son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only time when he did was when Lucas was in that car accident, but then that changed later on.
Well, and when he made him move in, he was calling him son.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was crazy. And here's the thing, is like a lot of times when it comes to Dan, it's like, do you really believe him? All that stuff. But I actually believe him here. I actually believe that he did want Lucas. Don't you?
Yeah.
Like just his tone. I just feel like it's not being manipulative or narcissistic. I feel like he's just being genuine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then we go to the River Court and he says, "Hey, son."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, to Lucas. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my God. Again, what? Like for Lucas, because Lucas, they don't have that relationship. So I'm like, it's one thing to like call somebody your son, as Dan is now doing, but like to tell it to him to his face, I'm like, that's a little rude.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when he wanted to kill him.
Yeah, that's what Lucas says. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's like, since the last time you were here, you're trying to, when you threatened to kill me. It's like, I think he actually, but see, he threatened to kill him there, but in the gym, that's where he tried to kill him.
Yep.
He didn't bring up the gym scene. He only brought up the river court scene.
Yep.
And then he goes, sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Not actually sorry I tried to kill you in the gym.
Right.
And then that's where Dan gives his advice on the game and that he would take it even if it was for 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, but again, okay, so Dan is speaking this to Lucas because I think Dan is actually trying.
Right.
Where Lucas is just like, okay, like this dude is just a mockery, like, and so, but like, why would Lucas want to believe anything he says? Like, he's never going to take Dan's advice. So for Dan to say like, oh, I would take it. Lucas is going to do the opposite of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made no sense, Dan.
Right. And then he brings Karen into it, saying that he doesn't want, Karen to worry about Lucas, and that his mom worries about, him every night, and game nights might be the only night she won't.
Yeah, that's what Dan says.
Yeah, because, she'll know that he'll be doing something he loves. And that trick Deb shows up asking for a drink at the bar. And then Deb asks Karen, what makes her, what made her such a tight ass, because
I like when Karen looks at the bartender and was just like, no, shaking her head, don't give her any. It was good.
Yeah. And then kind of like Rachel, she's insulting Karen, saying is that what happens when you don't have sex for 17 years? And Karen says that she knows that she was upset about the intervention and she's sorry for the ambush, but it was the only way.
Yeah,
and Deb says,
tough love.
Yeah.
And then Deb's like, I have some for you, tough love. You're fired. And then Karen's like, I don't have time for this. And she's like, and then then she told the bartender, you better pour me some, basically, otherwise you're fired too.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said that in their partnership, but she said at the cafe, she said she's majority owner. Well, then she said she's majority owner of Trick. Huh?
Yeah, because she said the partnership at the cafe was never on paper. So isn't that illegal if you don't,
I don't know, but but then she's majority owner of Trick.
Mm-hmm. When did that happen? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Karen was. I thought they were 50-50.
Yeah, and it was Karen's idea too.
Right.
And Karen didn't mention oh, I don't have enough money. Deb, can you help me out? And then that's how that happened. But
right, she never said that. It was Deb saying, "I want to do this with you," because remember, Karen, I think at first was like, "No." She didn't. She felt like Deb was coming in as well, I'm the one that has money out of Dan's women. It's and she didn't want that, but I'm like, what? Again, because that would have been okay, well, obviously I'm accepting it because you have money and I don't. But it was never said. Obviously, if Karen thought of opening up Trick, then that means she had money to put into it, because Karen wouldn't do anything rational like that if she doesn't have money. She's not that person.
Right.
So that's what didn't make sense. I'm like, now you're a majority owner? And what I also don't understand is if she's majority owner, I feel like because Karen is still part owner, she can't fire her unless they go through some legal battle of trying to end Karen's partnership.
Right.
I feel like that's for the lawyers, not for Deb to just say you're fired. I'm like, but she's still part owner.
Right.
What? Unless it's on legal documents that she is no longer have any ownership, not even 1%, she's still part owner. I don't care what Deb says.
Yeah, I feel like Deb would have to buy her out or something like that.
And she never wrote a check or anything to buy her out.
Right.
Yeah, but Karen would have to accept the money too. And sign the papers, which she didn't do. So I don't get why she walked away. I'm like, Karen, this is your business. She already tried to ruin the cafe. Why are you letting her ruin Trick now?
Yeah.
Because Karen is behind the bar too. And Deb is gonna now all of a sudden get her butt up off the chair and work. No, she's not.
Right.
And then Karen, for that bartender, the only bartender we see, he's gonna struggle now. The club is packed full of people, and he's by himself now.
Yeah.
You just said you don't have time for this because you're working. So you're gonna lead the poor guy?
Yeah, and when someone's too drunk, the bartender usually cuts them off anyway, so it's not like Deb can keep getting all the drinks she wants.
She can though, because she's owner. She just said to him, if you don't pour this, you're fired. She'd keep saying that to him.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm never even been to a bar like that to drink, but I don't know. In shows, at least, I know they usually cut them off after a while at some point. But and then they should have security, so you think Karen maybe would have called security on Deb, but yeah.
But she would have threatened him, that person too, with "You're fired if you throw me out."
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard when it's the owner.
Yeah, Deb just seemed like she had so much power so quick over everybody.
And that's what, but I just didn't, I get the workers, because if you're owner, even if you're part owner, you're owner, you have power over everyone. But I don't think you'd have power over your business partner.
Right.
That's what I didn't understand, was if she still owns part of it, you're working together. So she still can stay there and work and cut you off. Yeah, I didn't understand that either.
Yeah, so Deb tells her to get out, and she says sorry to ambush her. It was the only way, throwing Karen's words back at her. And then
I just didn't like that Karen left so easily.
Yeah.
You know she needs an intervention. You tried that morning, and yet you're just going to let her win? No.
Right. So then Payne gets on stage to introduce a performing act, Lupe. He performs. And then Haley and Nathan are watching with Haley in Nathan's arms, which is sweet. And then Brooke is by herself. Someone tells her that he knows about Brooke. And so he repeats saying that he knows Brooke is pregnant. And he asks what they're going to do. So Rachel tells Mouth that without even, looking at him, she says that she can drive Brooke he can drive Brooke to the clinic and she'll pick her up. And Mouth doesn't say anything to that. So Rachel says there's no way that Brooke and Lucas are ready to have a baby. And then we see Derek has been listening, from right behind them. Of course, they don't know.
I didn't like that Mouth and Rachel were so invested about this pregnancy.
Yeah, I feel like Rachel doesn't really care, and Mouth was just concerned. But yeah, they're I don't know. I mean, they're Brooke's, well, barely Rachel's Brooke's friend, but yeah, it depends on how far they would go, because it's kind of like they almost could be like Shelley, kind of in a way, like butting in the bird. Now he knows this information to use, to hurt Peyton. But
again, this is like Derek's millionth red flag.
Yeah, but then he says about Lucas, Derek tells Payne that there's something she should know, and she asks if he's sure, and Derek says, yeah, he heard that angry kid Mouth talking to her friend Rachel. I thought it was funny how he called the angry kid Mouth, because that's all he knows him as from the party. But Payne says she has to talk to
a drunk guy.
Yeah. You hate you guys. And then Derek stops her to tell her that the other night at Rachel's party, he overheard Lucas talking to Brooke, saying that if she'd taken back, he never talked to Payne again. So Payne's heart, was shattered by this, and Derek tells her that he's sorry. He guesses Lucas isn't the guy she thinks he is. That's a funny thing to say, because, Payton later is going to find out that Derek isn't the guy she thought he is. It's kind of a little foreshadowing there.
Why are you listening to Derek that you just met 2 days ago instead of Lucas that you've known for a couple of years?
Yeah, so learn about this.
You like Lucas.
Supposedly, yeah.
No, but if Peyton likes Lucas, you're gonna listen.
Yeah.
You're gonna listen to the person you like.
Right.
It's like if you
known for years.
But if you like somebody, you're gonna listen to every word they say. It's like, what? And you're gonna say, well, unless he tells me that, I'm gonna believe him.
Right.
So it's weird that she's gonna turn on Lucas and believe Derek. That's what was weird. I'm like, let Lucas tell you that, not Derek.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what she does. She goes over to Lucas to talk to him, and when they are talking, Derek sees them together and see them walk away to talk. And then she asks if he talked to Brooke today, and he says no. And then she says there's a rumor going around about Brooke being pregnant, and Payne says that she knows that he said that he's not going to fight for her, but if she's pregnant, he needs to be there for her. And Lucas says he has to go find Brooke. And then Payne accidentally says goodbye then, and Lucas says, what does she mean by that? And she says that Derek told her that Lucas said to Brooke, said to Brooke at the party that, she started talking to her if, she'd taken back. And, she didn't say that. at first at least. She just says that he needs to talk to Brooke. She can wait. And then Brooke is sitting with Rachel, looking over at Shelly, and, says clean teens, more like mean teens with big mouths. And she tells Rachel that she told everyone she's pregnant. Yeah, so she tells Rachel that Shelly told everyone she's pregnant. Rachel then admits that it was actually her that told everybody. So now we know. And then Brooke asks, why we should do that. And Rachel says, this coming from the girl who put up posters of her.
This threw me off because I was like, Rachel already opened up the time capsule, and she didn't Rachel also plaster all those pictures of Brooke naked all over?
Topless, yeah.
Because that's when Brooke was like, that's when she put the picture of Rachel a couple of years ago. Remember, and then who was it? Lucas or Mouth, I think it was like, do you think that's mean? And she's like, she opened the time capsule and put topless pictures of me out. Like, what? And then here she's like, well, you did that to me. But she did it in retaliation to the two things you did.
Yeah, they're just going back and forth now.
No, but Brooke should have threw that in her face was, I did that because you did two things prior.
Yeah.
That's what you would say that to somebody, and I would too. Brooke usually defends herself. That's why I don't understand why she didn't defend herself.
Maybe she used to focus on that rumor going around and Shelly. And then Lucas now comes walking up asking if it's true to Brooke, and she says that didn't take long. And she tells him that she told him that she's not pregnant before, and, does she think that she would lie to him? And Lucas points out that it wouldn't be the first time. And Brooke says, no, the first time was when she lied and said she was pregnant. Also, the first time was, when he was sneaking around behind her back with Peyton. And Lucas says this is his decision too. And Brooke says,
you're not the only guy I slept with.
Yeah. And she kind of walked into that one herself. But.
And then he says, Chris Keller. It's like,
yeah.
Just so
right.
Yeah. It's like, well, Lucas.
Yep. And Brooke gets mad and tells him not to talk to her. And then Lucas walks over to Derek saying Lupe's pretty great, huh? And then he just kind of slides in, like, what did you tell Payne what he said, what he said at the party? Because apparently he heard Brooke and him talking.
Yeah, then he goes, and he's like, what did you say? Like, I love Lucas in this.
Yeah.
And then he said, like, all I said was, you're getting back with, Brooke, you'd have, like, less time to spend with Peyton. And he's like, that's all.
Yeah, another lie.
And then he says, I got no problem with you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but Lucas now has a problem with you.
Yeah, that's why he didn't return the handshake.
It was funny.
Yeah.
And but then there's Glenda.
Yeah, because at first Shelly was trying to wave her over to her, but then Brooke heard someone call her name. So that was like a good save there for Brooke. Yeah, so she goes over to Glenda, who has a new look. It's more of a goth look. And, Brooke tells her she looks good in black. And then Glenda brings up Shelly, asking if Brooke knows her. And she says, not really. She doesn't hang out with fake virgins. And Glenda says, well, that sucks. What sucks about being the born again virgin thing is that she is a virgin. And Shelly was the biggest slut at church camp last summer. And Brooke asked Glenda if she
you hung out with her. And she's like, not really. Shelly's parents came and got her halfway through. So, of course, Brooke's mind is
putting
just
pieces
blown
together.
By that. Yeah.
And then Nathan and Haley are at the bar together, and he asks her if she's heard about Brooke. And this another time when Haley could have said something, but doesn't. She just says that it's not really, a good place for us to talk about this. And he tells her that.
And he just says about the fight that they had about the birth control, and she's, how can I forget it?
Right. Yeah, and he says that Nathan and Brooke heard, or Brooke and Lucas heard the whole thing, and you think that after that they used 2 condoms.
Yeah. So Nathan.
Yeah. And like, how could she just not tell him? And Haley says because she's scared to death.
Yeah. And he goes, she should be. What?
Yeah, because how do you tell a guy that his life is over?
I don't know, Nathan. How do you?
Yeah. So this is another thing that Nathan has said that's made Haley scared to tell him. And then Brooke walks over to Shelly and asks her, what happened last summer. And Shelly
here's Brooke, the thing is Nathan better say something, or Haley better tell Nathan, because before Nathan says too much that he's
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to try to get through.
Yeah.
And also to help Brooke out. Like, come on now. This is your
Mm-hmm.
problem, not hers.
Right. Yeah, but I'm surprised he didn't clock that Haley was like, she sounded like she was scared when she said that Brooke was scared. So she's kind of giving herself away there, but he didn't notice, of course. And then, yeah, so Brooke's talking to Shelly about what happened last summer. And at first, Shelly's like, I don't know what you're talking about. But then, Brooke asks her again, and then Shelly instantly gets emotional, saying you don't think about it. You mean a cute boy and you're having fun, and she couldn't tell her parents because you don't get pregnant at church camp. And she's crying to Brooke, telling her that she has to have her baby. And Brooke asked Shelly if she had an abortion, and Shelly said, you just can't take it back. And you think it's going to make everything better, but it doesn't. And she repeats, you can never take it back, and then walks out crying. And then Dan is at home looking at his yearbook, and he looks at the page with him and Karen as the snowball, king and queen. Guess they had a winter theme then. And then we flash back to Dan's therapy session again, where he's asked if he's still in love with Karen. And he says maybe.
I think he is. Come on now.
Right. And the therapist now says that his brother's gone, he's won, and maybe that's why he feels guilty. I feel like that wouldn't be something therapists would say, like, oh, you won. Like, no, like won what? Like Karen and the baby or Lucas? Like, they're not prizes to be won, but yeah,
Right.
so I thought that was weird. But then at Trick, Haley
Well, yeah,
finds
I didn't. Are therapists supposed to like pick sides, or aren't they just supposed to talk you through the situation, not actually like picking sides?
Yeah, she could have phrased that differently. Like, now that he's gone, you might feel guilty thinking like you're kind of taking his place because you're trying to be there for Karen and Lucas and the baby and everything. Like, and he should be doing all that. Something like that. That could have sounded better than that.
Yeah, I just feel like as a therapist, you probably should just help with the situation, not
Mm-hmm.
actually be like you won. Plus, do you remember when Jen was in therapy on Dawson's
Mm-hmm.
Creek?
Yeah.
Do you remember how the therapist wouldn't say anything? He would just ask questions and that was it. And she
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Why aren't you helping me? Why aren't you answering my question?" Like he was just like not
Mm-hmm.
giving any input in anything
Yeah.
she would say.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't this one?
Right.
This one is literally giving her opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think therapists are supposed to give opinions.
No, they're not. Mm-mm.
Aren't they just supposed to sit there and like listen to you
Yeah.
and like kind of maybe talk you out of something if you are like so enraged or something,
Mm-hmm.
like trying
Yeah.
to calm you down, not like
Mm-hmm.
not sit there and tell you.
Right.
I didn't think that's what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, this one is supposed to be fired.
Yep. And then at Trick, Haley finds Brooke on the stairs, and Haley looks at her and asks if she's been drinking. And Brooke asks, why wouldn't she be? Tree Hill High thinks she's a slut. And Lucas
And
thinks
Lucas
she's
thinks
giving
she's
birth
gonna Chris Keller. The
the
second,
second.
what?
Yeah. And Rachel thinks she'd be a terrible mother. And she's right. Yeah,
So
so.
I didn't like when Haley was like, I'm gonna take you home, and then I'm like, what? What do you mean you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
take her home? You see why she's upset.
Mm-hmm.
What is taking her home gonna do? How about
Yeah.
you announce to the world that you're pregnant? That
Yeah.
would be a good thing to do.
And she didn't even mention Shelly, because that's another thing that's bothering her with this
No.
rumor.
But why would you say I'm gonna take you home?
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, that wasn't even all that Brooke's going through. But yeah, Haley can't see that this is, enough is enough. So.
Like, are you serious, Haley?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Brooke has to
Brooke
be the one
said,
to tell her.
she
Mm-hmm.
said, I can't do this. I can't be pregnant anymore. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, and again, Haley, she was just obnoxious to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because, like, I can see if Haley, like, this would make sense, like, if Haley got pregnant and she's not married and she, Nathan doesn't want to be there for her. She doesn't know what to
Like
do.
Dan and Karen.
Yeah, like, if she's, like, all alone, then she's, like, even more scared. And, Brooke's trying to help her, just, I don't know. Just, it doesn't make sense because Haley's married and she's supposed to be an adult, even though she's 17. But she's supposed to be an adult, going to be a mother. And yet she's not. She's just letting Brooke take the fall for this when
Well,
she.
And she has a stable relationship with her husband.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
not like they're on rocky terms where it's like,
Mhm.
oh God, if I get pregnant, we're done. There's
Mhm.
been nothing of that. So I don't understand why she's acting this way because are you kidding me? Like most people would love to have a baby with Nathan Scott. It's like, what?
Yeah, Haley is just taking the two things that Nathan has said that made her think that he doesn't want to be a father right now, which I can see why, but if you feel like you know Nathan and know that he wouldn't be like Dan, then you wouldn't be so worried about what he's saying.
Plus, what teenage boy gets married in high school, Haley?
Hmm.
Oh, I don't
And
know.
even
Yours?
yeah, and even if he didn't want to be a father, then then she deserves better, And if Karen can do it, then Haley can do it and get help from Karen at least, because Karen actually had nobody. So it's not like she'd be completely alone, even if she did lose Nathan.
Yeah,
So
like Karen didn't even have friends.
yeah,
So at least
her
Brooke
family.
or at least
Hmm.
at least Haley would have friends
Yeah,
to help her
like
through this.
yeah, like Brooke, who's taking all this fall for her.
Well, Brooke, but I think Peyton would be there for her,
Yeah,
Lucas, Karen. Like she
yeah, I'm
has
seeing an example.
support.
Yeah, yeah, whole
Not
village.
like
Yeah.
she wouldn't. Plus, I don't think Nathan would be a deadbeat dad.
Hmm.
I just don't.
Yeah, and even though we don't really see Haley's family, I think they would still support her too. You
Also,
know,
given how Dan is having this new revelation, right, about
mhm,
Lucas as a baby wanting
yeah,
him,
hmm,
I feel like given how Dan is regretting all of that,
hmm,
I think if he found out, like, okay, let's say hypothetically, Nathan is like, we're done. I don't want a baby, blah, 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 like doesn't want to be there, that kind of thing.
hmm,
I feel like Dan would, because he regrets this whole thing with Lucas, I think he would go to Nathan and be like, listen, I messed up when it came to Lucas.
right,
I don't want you to make the same mistake. And I'm just saying that I think more people would try to talk to Nathan through it than him just being a deadbeat dad,
right,
where he would come around eventually. Like he
hmm,
wouldn't be totally Dan Scott, the sort of thing.
hmm,
Because Dan is even regretting it.
right,
So it's like if even the monster of your town and your family is regretting the decision, you would be better.
right,
And again, Nathan remarried you after everything you did.
hmm,
So, and again, he's partially to blame for the pregnancy. So,
hmm,
because again, it takes two. So,
yeah,
so yeah, I mean, I don't know why she's so fearful. Like, I get if it was Brooke, I get why she'd be fearful.
hmm,
But at the same time, I don't get why Haley is. It's so weird.
hmm. Yeah, so Rachel finds Nathan, tells him they need to talk, and he says, then talk, but she says not there. And she gestures towards his motorcycle, and he says, thanks to her flask, he's walking. But then Rachel mentions that she really needs to talk to him about the accident, and she volunteers to drive. And he says he left his helmet upstairs, and she doesn't have one. And she says that she won't tell if he won't. And then for some reason, he
So
still
annoying.
gives her the keys to his motorcycle.
Yeah, like he's never actually seen her ride to see if she can
Hmm.
ride. She also doesn't have a motorcycle license that I know of.
And then saw her, well, he didn't see her, but he knows that she's the reason why that limo went off the bridge.
Also, I thought the bike was bad.
Yeah,
That's
so,
why
like,
the last owner wouldn't that's why he couldn't trade it
mhm,
back or something because
yeah,
the motorcycle was so beat up.
you couldn't
But
trade it
yet it's
back in. Yeah,
drivable.
yeah. I don't know, maybe Nathan learned a thing or two from working in the auto shop, or
I doubt that. I doubt that.
he asked Lucas for help, probably, since he would be better at it, to fix it to be rideable until Nathan can get a car again, maybe. But then after the event is done, Nathan or Derek gives Payne a round of applause, saying tonight was great, she did a good job. And then he says he's sorry that things didn't go well with Lucas like she planned. And he asks if she wants to kill the messenger, and she says no, because if they did that, everybody in this town would be basically dead. And then Derek
And then
says not.
he says, don't take it too hard. But Lucas and Brooke, there's a guy out there for you, Peyton.
Mm-hmm.
What?
And she doesn't know.
Again, if you're supposedly the brother, it ain't gonna be you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but of course she doesn't know that he's talking about himself. And Payne, thanks him and hugs him, and he holds her just a little too tight and smells her hair. And
Yep.
Lucas noticed.
Lucas noticed. I was like, he clocked it. I love it.
Yeah. So then after Derek leaves, Payne asks Lucas if he's talked to Brooke, if it's true that she's pregnant, and Lucas, is distracted. Focus on Derek, but tells Payne that he doesn't know yet. And then he asks Payne, what did Derek exactly say to her about him and Brooke? And Payne says,
not important.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I need to know.
Yeah.
And so then she finally says, that you would cut me out of your life if you took her back. And he goes, and he's like all mad because he's like, what? Like, I would never do that. I never said that. I would never cut you out of my life. I'm like, well, we all know that.
Yep. And then he asks Payne, how much does she know about Derek? If he lie about this, he wonders what else he's lying about, which is a good point. Yep. And then Payne says maybe he's not lying. Maybe that's just what he thought he heard.
But how do you get it twisted?
Right. And she reminds Lucas that he's the one that that told her to be more trusting, so don't ruin this for her.
Again, this is my problem, that you're going to believe Derek over Lucas.
Right.
Somebody that's been there for you for these past couple of years and you actually like and you want to be with, but you're not going to believe. Like, how is that going to start a relationship? Oh, I don't trust you.
Right.
Like, I believe this other person that I just met 2 days ago, but I don't trust you. But yeah, I want to date you. What? Who does that? It's weird.
Yeah. And then Payne notices her jacket is gone. Lucas says maybe you left it backstage.
She says maybe Derek took it.
Yep.
Really, Payne?
She says, yeah. I'm surprised she didn't kind of think about it because it was right. She said she left it right there at the edge of the stage.
I get why she wouldn't, because remember, she's thinking Derek's like this great guy. But why didn't Lucas notice? Like, why didn't he say, well, maybe it was Derek? Also, if he watched Derek walk away, he would have seen the coat was probably with him.
Yeah, like I was going to rewind it to see if we could see Derek taking it, but I'm like, no, I would have noticed, him taking it before.
But Lucas should have.
Yeah.
Because who else is going to take it? Nobody.
Because I don't think the jacket was even there when they were talking, Payne and Derek. I feel like maybe Derek took it before he even left. Like he took it like earlier not too much earlier, but like maybe like right after the show ended because Payne was backstage and she left it at the front of the stage, so he took it then. Maybe, I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But Dan shows up,
especially because she says Ellie gave me that. Yeah, Derek knows that.
Yeah.
Plus, he's the one that said cool jacket or something, so he obviously is the one that's interested in it.
Yeah. And then Dan shows up at Karen's house and he says, I thought you'd be at Trick. And Karen says,
that fired me. And he goes, fire is her specialty.
Yep. That was actually funny.
It was.
But, Karen didn't think so. So he says he's sorry and then mentions he talked to Lucas. And he doesn't know if he got through. Maybe the only thing he can give him is an example of not to follow. And Karen says that he just summed up her whole parenting strategy. And he says he thought that she would know, should know that, and then is about to leave.
But then she says, she asked him if he wants some coffee, and he goes, that'd be great. Oh my God.
Isn't it like late at night at this point? So why would they drink coffee?
Who wants coffee? Because this is after Trick. And Trick probably got over at what, midnight? It's a club. Even, okay, maybe 11 because they're teenagers. So I'm like, what? You're going to have coffee that late at night?
Right.
Plus, she's pregnant. I thought you can't have coffee.
Yeah, and she said that she was giving up coffee for her pregnancy, unless that was a lie. Because, she said that when he was trying to ask her out.
I think she was just trying to cover that. But I was just like, what? I thought pregnant Like, I thought when you're pregnant, you can't have coffee.
I think they can have a certain amount, like maybe a cup or something, as long as it's not too much after that. And of
'Cause
course, only if they're breastfeeding. But yeah,
that threw me off because I was like, what?
yeah. Oh no, I mean she's pregnant. She's not breastfeeding. Yeah. So well, I know afterward a little bit's fine. I don't know about the pregnancy.
Because there's a
Maybe a little bit,
scene,
but
there's a scene on 90210, the newer version of it. And the one main character, his girlfriend or ex or whoever, was trying to say she was pregnant. And his mom saw her drinking coffee. And she confronts her saying, I thought you said you're pregnant. Like, you can't be drinking coffee. And then that's why I'm like, oh. But then here she's drinking coffee. So
right.
that was a little weird. So clearly, what, a man wrote it?
Yeah. Google's telling me that they can have a little bit of coffee, but of course you have to consult your doctor about that beforehand.
But also, I'm sure that if you're older, in your late 30s, you probably shouldn't have coffee because it's already a risk to have a baby.
Right.
And so you probably shouldn't add more risks to it.
And then we see Rachel and Nathan at the bridge. I'm surprised because isn't Haley still at Trick? Like, where did Haley go?
I don't know, he left her again.
Yeah, and she didn't say like, "Where's Nathan? Like, where the hell is he?" I was with
Well,
Brooke, and or did she took Brooke? No, she took Brooke home, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how because she doesn't have a car. Because here's the thing. She said, "Let me know when we have a car."
Unless she
So
drove Brooke's car.
she probably drove Brooke's car home, but because I don't think she has been on that motorcycle yet.
Yeah.
And Nathan drove the motorcycle to Trick, and I think he met up with Haley then.
Yeah, maybe she went there with Brooke in the first place.
I think she did because she didn't want to be on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Especially after the crash.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think Nathan drove himself and she probably drove Brooke home, but didn't tell Nathan that she was going home. And he didn't tell Haley he's going to
with Rachel.
So these two are both lying in their marriage.
Yeah. Because that would make Haley mad if she knew. Yeah, so Nathan and Rachel are at the bridge. And
Also, why would you go to the place that had the accident in the first place?
Right, it was Rachel's idea, apparently.
It's just weird. I wouldn't want to go there.
Yeah, so she says that she wasn't honest with him before. She does remember something from the accident.
Yeah, she saw Keith. What?
So Nathan never told her what he saw, right?
No, he told him and Peyton were talking about how he saw Keith, and Rachel overheard. So then she said, I saw Keith. And it's like,
okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sure you did not because you just overheard that. You heard nothing because you were like brain dead. You were white as a ghost. You were dead in the water.
Right.
You saw nothing.
Right. And then Brooke gets to Rachel's with mouth. And Brooke is bummed out, about the stupid rumors. And then Mal tells her at the night of the party, her and Rachel thought he was asleep, but he wasn't. He heard everything. And he knows that Rachel thinks she should have the baby, but she's wrong. Right.
He never said, oh, at school I overheard it too.
Yeah, I mean, Brooke probably knew, but yeah, so he tells her that Rachel is wrong about, about not having the baby. And he tells Brooke she's going to be a great mother, and Brooke hugs him and then says that she needs to tell him something.
So is she telling the truth that it's Haley?
Yeah, I think so. I would hope so. Because what else would she mean by that?
I know, because I was confused because I'm like, you're really going to spill, like you've been keeping this a secret for how long now? And now you're going to spill it to someone else that your friend is pregnant, something that you've been keeping a secret?
I mean, I guess she figured that she could trust Mouse with the information, but still it's kind of not good. She didn't tell Haley about it beforehand.
Yeah, maybe she should have said, can I tell one person?
Because technically Haley and Mouse are supposed to kind of be friends since they, grew up
together
on the river court. Yeah, so I think he would be the only exception besides Skills, but and the other boys too. But I do wish that we could have come like full circle later on at the the end of the series with Mal telling Brooke like, see, I knew you'd be a great mother, because that would have been sweet, but I don't even think he even sees Brooke during that time.
Well, remember her pregnancy is like in one episode.
Yeah, so it just happened fast. But
So we don't get to see her be pregnant for a whole season. But
yeah.
so then Haley goes to Lucas's and he says, so I still want to know how she got from dropping Brooke off to now she's at Lucas's. Then she's gonna go to the apartment. How they all must live right next to each other.
Yeah.
Because she's also going at night. And so then right away he's like, is it true? About Brooke.
About Brooke.
And then she's like, I have to tell you something. And then she says, it's not Brooke, it's her. And then she's scared because, Nathan's going through a lot and all this. And then he hugs her. And it was okay. What's crazy is like Lucas was like dead set, like, oh my God, like I'm gonna be a father again, like going through all this, right? Then he finds out it's not Brooke and it's Haley, and he's all happy with the pregnancy now. I'm like,
yeah.
You do realize they're the same age, right?
Right.
What? How are you okay with this one, but you weren't okay with the last like the last time you heard somebody was pregnant?
Yeah, probably because he's not involved now, and the fact that Nathan and Haley have a stable relationship and are married, so it's like a better situation.
And he gets to just come in and be the uncle.
Yep.
And then he said, and then he's like, it'll be, everything's gonna be good and everything. And she's like, how do you know? And he goes, because this kid's gonna have a what was it?
Great uncle.
Yeah, great uncle. And it's like,
because he learned from the best.
Learned from the best. I was like, oh, yeah. I love it.
And
then he hugs her and stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, even if Nathan didn't want it, like Lucas would be there.
Yeah, just like Keith was for Karen. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like this, and even more, Brooke would be there. Peyton, like Mouth, like Karen, like there would be a group around for this baby.
Right.
Skills, all of them.
Yep. And definitely Skills. You see that later.
Yep.
And then Payne is at home. We see that selfie that she took of her and Derek on her computer. I think it was just like opened up on her computer. It wasn't like a screensaver or anything, because that would be weird. But then at Derek's, the sex worker that he called is looking at the collage of Peyton and not thinking that's strange at all, apparently. And just says like he's got it bad. And then he gives her a blonde wig that's similar to Peyton's hair.
Well, because she had the curly hair.
Yeah.
And then he's like, one more thing. And then he gives her the wig. And then he says, perfect. I'm like, ew. Yeah. Ew.
Even though it looks bad because you just put it on top of her head, like she's not even hiding her real hair, so it's sticking out. Yeah.
I know. I was like, and then let's see your hair. You're not exactly blonde.
Yeah. And then she's wearing Ellie's jacket too.
Yep. Because that's the thing. He stole it.
Yep. And then it gets worse because then Derek takes off his shirt to show the death angel Peyton on his back as a tattoo.
Yep.
So there were back-to-back creepiness on the scale, past the scale, off the scale, way past the clouds in the sky. Yep. And nobody knows about this except this one woman, how creepy this is. But she doesn't know about the back tattoo, but yeah.
But she sees all the pictures.
Yeah, so I said, like, doesn't faze her. She just says, he's got it bad, so.
Yeah, but he paid her.
Unless she sees this often, then that would be really concerning.
But he paid her, so she's getting money, so she don't care.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this episode. Oh, it's so creepy. So for me, the high. Yeah. I did like the scene for that when Dan went to Lucas because he was trying to redeem himself. And I think this is the start of Dan's redemption, kind of. And I liked it because he was giving him good advice. And he's looking out for him.
Yeah.
As he should have done 17 years ago. And we finally get to truly see that Dan wanted him, because when he was fighting with Karen for custody, back in season 2, it was more of like condescending when he would talk about it. And here it's just believable.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really believe it at first, but here he just seems very genuine when he's talking.
Yeah.
And I like that, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked that moment because it also, I think, made Lucas think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we know what's going to happen. He's going to play. So
Yeah.
maybe hearing Dan talk about it
Mm-hmm.
made him think of, like, truly want to do it.
Yeah.
So I liked that. The low. Let's see here. Derek
Mm-hmm.
being creepy the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Rachel trying to get with Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see here. Probably the thing that can top it off is having your mother come into your class and demand her pills over you. That would be
Yeah.
Nathan and Deb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, and I know I also didn't like Shelly just going at Brooke. It's like she never said she
Mm-hmm.
was pregnant.
Yeah.
When somebody says they're not, you need to believe them
Mm-hmm.
until you see otherwise.
Yeah, like they're showing or something.
Or you see their ultrasound. Unless you know
Mm-hmm.
any of that, you don't get to say a word.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot of lows in this.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't really too many highs. Also, Nathan getting a motorcycle. Low.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
Yeah. I liked the end when Lucas, said that he's gonna be there for Haley and the
Oh,
baby,
yeah, I like that moment too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the few good things.
Oh, I also liked when Haley went to Deb. It was funny.
Mm-hmm. And then yeah, the low was Derek all around. So and then rating.
I would rate this an 8. I think it had good drama. There was
Mm-hmm.
lows to it, but I feel like that's what makes the show, obviously, is when there's drama.
Yeah.
Like, do we always like the drama? No, but it's what keeps you watching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna give it an 8. What about you?
Yeah, me too.
And then your best and worst?
Worst was Derek for obvious reasons, as we said throughout the whole episode. And then Brooke, because she was really taking it for Haley after even getting attacked by basically every person in her life, and not in her life like Shelly, you know, just about the rumors, not even it being true. Everybody's just taking that rumor and thinking it's truth. So yeah, because Brooke didn't really, even if I can see her maybe doing this for a little bit, but like at the first part, like that's when Haley should have ended it there, so she wouldn't have to go through the rest of this that we've seen her with this episode. So yeah, she's just really probably the best friend in this series just for doing this alone for Haley. So yeah.
Um, for me, the worst, I'm going with Rachel again
Mm-hmm.
because she's the one that started the rumor.
Mm-hmm.
She also will not leave Nathan alone.
Yeah.
And she drove the motorcycle and she could have killed him.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all of that.
Yeah.
And she could have taken, and she took him to the accident
Bridge.
on the
Mm-hmm.
bridge, which could be trauma for him.
I mean, he was already going there himself for a
I
while.
know, but
So,
she didn't really know that.
yeah.
So the fact that she's just taking him when she doesn't even know it's not acceptable.
Yeah, probably because she's not really actually going through it herself. She's just lying to get close to Nathan. So she's not
Yeah.
even thinking about that.
But I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
So she's the worst for me because again, like he's married, like leave him alone.
Yeah.
And then for me, I would say Brooke, but she should have told everybody a long time ago.
Yeah, I just didn't really see that I was her place to tell, but yeah.
No, she should have. I would have. Because, listen, I would have gone through everything Brooke went through. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with the best was Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was there for Peyton with
Mm-hmm.
Crazy Derek. And he was there for Haley in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And he did say like Nathan isn't Dan and stuff, like trying to like help her
Mhm.
through it too. So I thought he was the best in this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would have said Brooke, but again, she should have already said something. And she should have already threatened Haley to say something, otherwise she should.
Mhm.
Like, it was just annoying that we're still going on with this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then what's the next episode?
Episode 5, I love you, but I've chosen darkness.
All right, the title is already creepy.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right, thanks for listening.
Yep, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.